Focus. There we go, that's the badger. Hello, welcome back to my channel and happy Christmas. I can say that now. It's December and I've just been dying to start doing Christmassy things because I've been thinking about Christmas since July when I started planning wreath workshops. So I am absolutely ready for it now. And so today I thought I would bring you along with me and sort of show you how to make a chimney piece decoration for the fireplace here in our dining room. Now, I went out first thing this morning to my lovely neighbour's garden. She's got a big field behind her house and she just let me pick whatever I wanted. So this isn't very planned. I haven't written a recipe for what I'm going to make or anything like that. It is literally dive into this lovely pile of greens that I've got and, you know, get going. So to start with, I'm using these blocks of Oasis foam in a plastic tray. I don't like to use foam when I can avoid it, but for stuff like this it's good, it's easy, and also when it holds water it's really heavy, so it's not going to slip off the chimney piece. So I've got two of them and I'm going to put one each side, bringing them in a little bit from the edge and positioning them in the centre of the chimney piece. And you can fix them in place using a variety of different methods. I've got a brick fireplace, so I can kind of use most things and not have to worry. If you've got a wooden one, you're a little bit more limited. But for me, just to give it a bit of added security, I'm using this Oasis fix. I'm going to cut off a few inches and just stick it down to the brick like that. And pop my dish on top of it. That's not gonna, you know, it's not sort of permanent or anything like that. It's not super strong, but it will just provide that little bit of extra grip to stop it slipping. So they're stuck on like that, and I'm going to get stuck into my greens, which I will show you now. So this is my enormous pile of greens from Rosie's garden. It is really exciting that she just let me go and chop what I wanted, but I've got some beautiful conifer and spruce and holly, some trailing ivy, that beautiful, beautiful bright red cornus. What else have we got? Laurel, bit of leylandii, yeah, loads and loads of beautiful things. So I'm just going to dig through them and see how I go. I'm going to start with these beautiful bits of fir and Christmas tree, and some added grass as well. You can use, if you don't have a field at your disposal, you can use the bits of Christmas tree that you might be chopping off your real tree to make them fit. Or you can, what I do every year is just I buy a Christmas tree to chop up and use for decorations. And I use it for my workshops and things. It's a really cost-effective way of getting a lot of greens for your house. So I will come over closer to show you this, if it will focus. I'm going to clean this sort of couple of inches at the bottom of needles to get a nice clean insertion into the Oasis like that. And I'm going to start. So the design I think I'm going to make today is quite asymmetric. So I want it high at this side and maybe a bit lower and drapey over there. So I'm going to start off with this bit. And I'm inserting it at an angle, which you can't really see, but it's basically going to sit really nicely there against the wall, and it's well balanced. It's sitting there nicely, it's not trying to flop over. Another bit which has got a beautiful curve to it. I want to really use that shape, so I'm going to put it in like this and let that drape over. Mine has got quite a lot of leaves stuck to it, but never mind, we'll just shake them off. They'll come off a bit easier once they're dry as well. Always remembering that those last couple of inches that are going in the Oasis need to be clear. and I'm going to cut that at a 45-degree angle as well. The 45-degree angle that you cut it at really helps it to absorb the maximum amount of water that it can. And because this is on my chimney piece, it's right next to where my dining table normally goes, I don't want pine needles dropping in our food, so water absorption is what we want. So I'm starting to build up the shape here. And I've got it nice and tall here and a little bit lower on this side. This one is a bit of an offshoot, and so it's cut at a nice angle, so I'm going to use that to give me some downward draping. I've got some of this really lovely sprucey stuff as well. Again, anything that's got this kind of shape is so good for design work like this, because you don't want just, you don't want just tall straight things. They are not nearly as beautiful as things with a bit of movement to them. Work through with my evergreens, inserting them into the Oasis. Okay, so I've built up my basic shape of my design with those evergreens and the spruces and the conifer, and now I'm going to bring in some of the other foliages that I picked to fill in this space and bring it out a little bit. I don't want it coming out too far because, like I said, we put our dining table in front of the fireplace most evenings and the people sitting at the ends will be banging their head on it. So I wanted to keep it fairly compact but still with plenty of space and movement in it. So here I've got some hebes, some leylandii. I'm just going to fill in those gaps with these really beautiful greens. When you're using something that is this kind of dramatic, just make sure you keep an eye on it while you're working, that you don't concentrate it all too much in one place, otherwise it could be a bit overwhelming. Though if you had a white wall, for instance, I mean I'm working on kind of mid-green wall, if you had a white wall you could get away with a little bit more of the dark. I'm leaving space as well in the very centre of my design, underneath the clock, to put a candle in there in a storm lantern, but I will bring that in towards the end, just because I don't want to knock it off, basically. This skimmia is another of my absolute favourites. Oh, someone came to the door and I've got no idea. I've lost my train of thought entirely. Right, skimmia. Focus. There we go. That's the badger. So this is skimmia. I think it's beautiful for Christmas designs. It's got these red flower buds on it and glossy green leaves. Lasts incredibly well in the vase or in an arrangement. So I'm going to add, I've got a little bit of this, and I'm going to add this in to some of those spaces. So it's starting to look really nice and full now, and what I want to do is to start to bring in a little bit of texture with some really beautiful twiggy things, and with some holly as well, just to really give it that little Christmassy effect. I'm going to pop some honey. Nope, try again. I'm going to pop some holly in now. This variegated holly is absolutely beautiful, and it's one of my favourites to use in Christmas designs. It really brings out something special, I think. I like to add this in towards the end because I'm really scared of it. because every time I use holly and things, it attacks me and it's really painful. So. With something like this that's going on a chimney piece, it's going to be really visible, so it's important that you cover any of the Oasis that's visible. So look at it from different angles and also from sort of a lower angle, as if you were sitting down, because sometimes you make something like this and from standing up it looks great and it's beautiful, and then you sit down, you look up and there's gaps everywhere, which we really want to avoid. We want it to look like it's sort of just grown organically out of the chimney piece, and that it's always been there and nature has put it there, not that we've created it. So it's important to cover any gaps. And that's why I don't normally throw my rubbish away as I'm working. I kind of just chuck it back onto the floor, because any of these little offcuts like this one can be really handy to fill those gaps with at the end. Don't forget to cover the ends as well, which around here are looking slightly bare. I've got this absolutely stunning selection of 3 different colours of cornus. That bright red especially is just amazing, it's going to really stand out in my design. I'm going to add those in now. So I'm just standing back to have a little look at it, and I'm pretty happy. I think, whoops, yeah, there. Oh, that's really hard looking in the camera screen. I think here I've got a little bit of a gap, so I want to add something in there, and I'm also going to add my beautiful traily ivy, which I managed to get, I mean, just a wonderful kind of curtain of Rosie's tree. So I'm going to pop that in there, and then I think it's time for candles and pine cones and other pretty decorations like that. Okay, so I've got some decorations to pop in now. I bought these from Sainsbury's the other day. They were having a decoration sale, and I'm just pulling out the ribbon and the weird glittery stem and stuff, and I'm going to glue in a cinnamon stick as a new stalk there and use these in my design. And I've also got a Tesco carrier bag full of really gorgeous pine cones. Every year I order pine cones by the kilo from my wholesaler, and there's always ones that they're such a bit big for wreaths, and so I use them in arrangements, and they're brilliant for that. So I am going to sort those apples out and wire these, and I'll show you how I do that. I decided I actually like the gold sparkly leaves, so I've left them, but I have replaced the stems and the ribbon with a little cinnamon stick stem instead. And I'm just going to show you now how to wire the pineapples. Pine cones. This is how you wire pine cones. But basically what you're going to want to do is hold them upside down like this. Eventually my camera might focus. And I'm taking a fairly stiff bit of wire, I think this is 0.9 millimeters, and I am just kind of winding it round, catching it under the scales like that around the bottom as low as possible. This one's quite tight at the bottom, but you do it as low as possible, and then meeting them together and twisting. And twist, 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 twist. Like so. Now, that is almost certainly not going to be long enough, so I'm going to take another piece of wire and catch it at the top there, wrap the end of that other piece of, wrap the end of that other piece of wire around the stem of my pine cone, not pineapple, pine cone, to help support that, and then twist that around the other bit of wire, and that just lengthens it a bit and makes it a little bit easier to insert. They are obviously quite heavy, so you use the bigger ones near the bottom and then use the lighter ones sort of that you want nearer the top, because they are going to drop down a bit, and they might drop, once you put them in, they might drop down a little bit more over, you know, a few hours. So for my apples, they're a little bit simpler. Again, 0.9mm wire, and I'm just going to push it in to the polystyrene, and it will grip really nicely. But you can buy them from florist wholesalers, so they're a bit more expensive. And you know, these I think in the sale cost about £1.30 each, so they're a bit of a bargain. If you find that your Christmassy fruit or your pine cones or anything like that is too heavy for your wires, just use 2 wires held together, and that will do just as good a job, but it will hold it a lot more firmly. I'm just popping in this little bit of holly here to cover up the wire on that apple. Now I think that my beautiful centrepiece is finished. And there we have our beautiful centrepiece, which was really just super simple to make. It's just a case of making your basic shape with your bigger branches and then building up the layers and filling in the gaps. And it is all with stuff that's growing, you know, out there at this time of year. You know, you don't need a big garden. You can use lots and lots of offcuts of Christmas tree and just ivy that you foraged if you like, and if you have got any other greenery that you can add to it, then even better. But there's lots of options to add that texture in with holly and twigs and all that kind of stuff. You could use just regular twigs off normal deciduous trees and spray paint them gold or silver. They'd add a really nice little bit of glitz to your arrangement. You could use more Christmassy trim as well, like the pine cones, you know, orange slices or dried teasels or baubles or anything you want. You can really go to town, use your imagination. But yeah, get out in the garden, cut some green things, and make a beautiful mantelpiece decoration for your house this Christmas. Thank you.